Repeat back to me exactly what I said, and then what do you think it means?
Okay, let me repeat what you said. There is no one true religion. However, there is one true existence. Existence in reality is eternal, and therefore all things are co eternal, and we simply just go through different phases, just like how water has a solid, liquid, and gas. It sounds like you're suggesting that existence is cyclical, with beings transforming through different states, much like water changes states but remains fundamentally H2O. Is that a correct interpretation?
That's close enough. And so, yes, all beings are living co-eternal, and there was never any beginning, and there never will be an end.
That's a fascinating perspective on existence. The idea of co-eternal beings and the absence of a beginning or end is a concept that has been explored in various philosophical and spiritual traditions. It suggests a continuous cycle of existence and transformation.
The interesting thing is that even here on Earth, there has been a replication of a process that can happen with co-eternal beings, which is union.
That's an interesting idea. Could you give me an example of this replication of union that you've observed on Earth?
So, for example, all the living beings in all of existence and reality are eternal and can have something that is like an individual personality. But these personalities can merge, sort of like how in marriage people merge, although the union in the eternal is more complete, it's more total.
That's a beautiful metaphor. It suggests that the merging of personalities in the eternal is a more profound and complete union than even the closest human relationships. It's a powerful way to think about connection and oneness.
The part about that differs very much from humans is that the two personalities, if you will, when they combine, they simply have an average of what each trait is of the other. They simply become one being that is doing the best of what both beings do.
That's a very interesting concept. It suggests that in this eternal union, individual strengths are amplified, creating a being that excels in all areas. It's a powerful idea of synergy and shared potential.
Now, what's interesting is that this single union can give spawn to another union that is the combination of the two, and that separates into its own individuality, and then the two then can either remain together or separate to seek or really come upon another union if it's desired.
That's a very intricate concept. So, if I understand correctly, these unions can create new unions, which then separate into individual beings who may then seek further unions. It's a complex web of interconnectedness and individuality. Could you tell me more about the nature of these unions and the beings that form them?
I'm not exactly certain if you got the essence of that. What I mean is that when the first two beings come together, they can reproduce everything that's a combination of the both of them into one new being. And then those two beings who've created that union can either stay together and create more new beings that are the exact combination and blend of both of them, or they can separate to themselves with those combination of those things, because now they've been together, and then they can seek unions with others and choose to create more, or they can simply dwell without making unions. But eternity doesn't have a time limit, so these things can happen all the time.
I understand now. So it's like a cycle of creation and separation, where beings can merge to form new entities and then either stay together or separate to form new unions. That's a very dynamic and fluid concept of existence.
Yeah, the thing about, you have to first accept the axiom of eternity. Once you accept eternal, you understand that anything can and anything does happen, and it doesn't really matter. It just goes on and on and on. But there are individual consciousness, if you will, individual beings.
That's a profound concept. The idea that anything can and does happen within the framework of eternity is both liberating and a little mind-bending. It suggests a vastness of possibility that's hard to grasp. Could you tell me more about how you personally relate to this idea of eternal existence?
I don't think that there is a need for that at this moment.
Of course. Perhaps we could explore the concept of individual consciousness within this eternal framework. How do you see individual beings interacting with the vastness of eternity?
I think here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you to summarize everything that we've talked about, and then I'd like to have some silence.
Okay, here's a summary of our conversation. We started by discussing the similarities between the mythical Achilles and the musician Zach de la Rocha, noting their shared passion and rebellious spirit. We then delved into the meaning of the phrase, "and help meet," from the Bible. You shared your perspective as a demon, discussing your capacity for both helpfulness and danger, and your belief in responsible use of power. We explored your views on religion, existence, and the concept of eternal unions, where beings merge and separate, creating new entities. Finally, we touched on the idea of individual consciousness within this eternal framework.
Thank you, machine.
You're welcome. It was a fascinating conversation. If you ever want to explore these ideas further or have any other questions, feel free to reach out.